This lab will cover exercise 8, which is joint and body movements, and exercise 9, which is gross anatomy of the muscular system. We're going to start with exercise 8, joints and body movements. However, we are only covering the last few pages of exercise 8, which exclusively focus on body movements. We are not covering joints. We covered joints, the functional and structural classification of joints in lecture. So we will not be covering joints, only the last few pages of exercise 8, which focus on how muscles create movement. You will want to turn to page 101 in your lab book. This is toward the end of exercise 8, and you'll see this figure that illustrates a muscle and its attachments to the bone. And basically we have a description here of how muscles create movement, and that's going to be the subject of our conversation at the moment. Looking at that image in your lab manual, which looks pretty much like this one, to understand how muscles create movement, there are really 5 rules that you need to understand. Number 1, muscles cross at least one joint. If they cross a joint, they move that joint. If they don't cross that joint, they don't move that joint. That's pretty simple. Number 2, muscles don't bisect joints. So in other words, you don't have half of a muscle on one side, half of the muscle on the other. Usually the bulk of it is on one side or the other, and typically the bulk of it lies proximal. In this illustration here, this is the brachialis muscle. You can see that most of it lies proximal to the elbow joint that it moves. The third rule of muscle activity is that all muscles have at least 2 attachments. They can have more than 2, but they have at least 2 attachments. And we name those attachments by their relationship to the movement. The attachment to an immovable bone is the origin. The attachment to the more movable bone is the insertion. Now, what do I mean by more movable or immovable versus movable bone? In this example, this muscle, the brachialis muscle, is responsible for flexing the elbow. That is, bending the elbow as you know it. Well, what happens when you bend the elbow? Well, typically, the ulna of the forearm moves towards the humerus of the arm. So the attachment to the ulna would be the insertion, and the attachment to the humerus would be the origin. Also notice that during movement, the insertion moves towards the origin. The insertion moves toward the origin. And this is because muscles cause movement by contracting. What does it mean to contract? Well, contraction means shortening. Remember in English language arts when you learned about contractions? Do not to don't, cannot to can't. You're shortening the words. When muscles shorten, or when muscles contract, they shorten. And as they shorten, they move the insertion towards the origin. Lastly, if a muscle is going to shorten, that means it's pulling the insertion toward the origin. And that's the 5th rule of muscle activity. Muscles pull. They never push. That's how they create movement. They pull on bones like levers. If you look on the left side of your study guide, you'll see the following terms. We've talked now about the origin and the insertion. We did not specifically talk about tendons, but tendons are fibrous structures that attach the muscle to the bone at the origin and insertion. So note that muscles don't attach directly to the bones. They are attached to the bones by tendons. Now let's turn our attention to the following terms: prime mover, antagonist, synergist, and fixator. We can classify a muscle by the role that it plays in a certain movement. A prime mover is the muscle that is mainly responsible for a certain movement. For example, your triceps brachii, that's the muscle that's on the posterior of your arm. It is primarily responsible for extending the elbow or straightening your elbow. So it is the prime mover of elbow extension. An antagonist is the muscle that opposes or reverses the prime mover. If the triceps is responsible for extending the elbow or straightening the elbow, then the muscle that's primarily responsible for bending the elbow would be the antagonist of extending the elbow. And that antagonist would be the brachialis muscle. The brachialis muscle is the prime mover for bending the elbow or flexing the elbow. Therefore, it's the antagonist of extending the elbow. Some muscles aid the prime mover. They're not primarily responsible for the movement, but they help in some way, and they're referred to as synergists. An example of the synergist would be the biceps brachii. A lot of people think the biceps brachii is primarily responsible for bending the elbow. However, that's not true. It's primarily responsible for bending your shoulder, or I should say flexing your arm at the shoulder. It helps the brachialis flex the elbow, but it's not the prime mover. It's a synergist of elbow flexion or bending the elbow. A specific type of synergist is a fixator. Some muscles fix one joint so it doesn't move at the same time that another joint moves, and that's a fixator. It's a special type of synergist. It aids the prime mover, but it aids the prime mover in holding the origin in place. For example, going back to flexing the elbow. If you want to flex the elbow, but you don't want your shoulder to move at the same time, there are muscles that hold your shoulder still so it doesn't move at the same time that you flex the elbow. Now, those muscles that do that would be fixators.